A year ago, on the 16th of May, Shropshire Council here at the building Shirehall declared a climate emergency. And that was something that we were really excited about because we thought we would see change within the county. But a year later, we're still waiting for there to be any action. There's been a year wasted in dither and delay, basically just a lot of talking. We really feel like Shropshire Council is just trying to sweep this issue under the carpet, and where they are acting, they aren't acting with the necessary speed or urgency, and they aren't really treating this emergency like the crisis that it is. So the shoes here represent the protesters who would have been here if we weren't in the middle of a global pandemic. A year ago, I stood just inside Shropshire, the grounds here at Shropshire Council's headquarters at Shirehall, and I was one of, I think there were around over 100 protesters who were here as we were waiting for Shropshire Council to declare a climate emergency. And they were debating the motion in the chamber, and we were all outside, and it was it was very different from today. There was a lively atmosphere, there was singing, there were banners, there were chants. We interacted with politicians, we spoke to them, we told them what our views were on the issue, and we tried to explain to them why it was really important for them to vote for the climate emergency declaration. And obviously a year later things are really different, so that's why we're here with these empty shoes to try and show that even though the world has changed, we're still here and we're still waiting for Shropshire Council to change, and they haven't so far. Extinction Rebellion is a group of ordinary people like me, who've read the science from climate scientists and realise that the world is facing a catastrophic amount of warming in the next decades, and we are keen to force the governments of the world, including our own government here in the UK, to start to take action and to take the problem really seriously.
I joined Extinction Rebellion once I began to listen to the scientists and read about what was happening. And really, if you do read the science, I don't understand how you can't not act. It's my ethical duty to be taking action for the sake of the planet, the wildlife, my children, grandchildren, for everything on the earth.
We had to think long and hard before doing this protest today, given the current lockdown. We put a lot of effort into thinking about how to keep everybody safe while doing it. We've chosen a time of day when there isn't really anyone around. Certainly there's no one very much in Shirehall at the moment because everyone's in lockdown. And we're here and we have PPE and face masks, and we're staying socially distanced 2 metres apart. So the shoes have been collected. Ideally, initially what we wanted to do was take a pair of shoes from each activist who would have wanted to be here. But we realised that obviously in the current situation with coronavirus, COVID-19, it probably wasn't the best way to do it. So we've taken a pair of shoes to represent each of the activists who'd want to be here. The coronavirus crisis has forced us to change our behaviour in really interesting ways. I think people have a sense of a different way of living, that it's possible to step away from the rat race, that it's possible to drive less and cycle more, that it's possible to work from home. Lots of things I think have a question mark put over them. Certainly here in Shropshire, the thought of something like the North West Relief Road now really does have a big question mark over it. If people are going to be working from home in the future as we deal with this pandemic, then certainly the idea of commuting by car becomes a very different thing. We've seen the improved air quality that's resulted as people haven't been driving so much, and I think people have really come to appreciate the fact that breathing clean air is something really wonderful, and it's something that we've kind of forgotten about over the last few decades. We've increasingly built this car-centric culture. So it would be great to think that the coronavirus crisis, while it has been a complete tragedy, also has the ability to show us that there is a different way of living and being that's more sustainable and is better for us, our societies, our families, and also for the planet. The world scientists have been warning us for a long time now that the way that we're treating the planet is likely to lead to more pandemics. So certainly the loss of biodiversity and the way in which we're encroaching into the natural world and bringing ourselves in contact with other species in ways that we wouldn't previously been obviously has a huge impact on our own health. And the coronavirus crisis is an aspect of that. And the scientists are warning that we are going to increasingly be at risk of exposing ourselves to deadly viruses like this if we continue to treat the world without proper respect.
We're here just to say to the council, wake up please, do something. You declared an emergency a year ago, and the people of Shropshire deserve a lot more than what you're doing right now. We've got a lot of flooding that's going on, crop failures, and that's going to get worse. Pollution in our towns across Shropshire, so they're above legal levels, and it's just carrying on, and it just can't carry on, and we really need some action, and that's why we're here today. We can't do anything with lockdown in terms of people here staying on this anniversary of declaring an emergency. So we've put shoes out, and this is saying to Shropshire that the people of Shropshire deserve more, and we want you to do something.
I've had a good look on their website, and I came across a publication very recently, and the publication is called Climate Change Guide for Communities. And I've just got a few bits of that are really very relevant to what's going on today. So this is Shropshire's own publication, and in it says things like climate change projections continue to show that the UK will increasingly suffer from climate change, and that will also have a massive negative impact on the poor in this country and others around the world. So we need to mitigate and to adapt to the impacts of climate change now. And that's on page 8. And on page 5, it's actually got a list of how it thinks climate change will affect life in Shropshire. And it's listing things like the floods and the heat waves and the impact that's going on in our country, in our county, the loss of habitat, the loss of species. And the really shocking thing about this report is that it was actually published in 2011, and the examples that it's giving are from as early as 2001. So it was the heat waves then. The heat waves in August 2003, with the 900 additional deaths then in the UK because of the heat waves. The floods of 2007, the way that was affecting Shropshire, the bridge losses, the road closures, the landslides. The heat wave in 2003, and there were fires on Hormond Hill, 14 fires, grass fires that year. That's 2001, 2003, and we're now 2020, and still nothing is being done. Shropshire Council are not taking climate into account. Yes, they've set up a climate task force, which I have every confidence, is working hard. But that task force needs the backing of the politicians. It needs the political decisions to really make things work. And there's one headline in this report, and I say again, this is Shropshire's own report, and it says, "There can be no excuses for doing nothing. We need to just act." And that's actually the whole point. That's why we're here today. We're here to tell Shropshire Council that they have got to stop just the words, and they have got to start acting.
Shropshire was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, and it feels to us now that we could also be the birthplace of a new revolution as well, a green revolution, one which would benefit the local economy, would bring jobs to the local community, and really we could see ourselves as a beacon for the rest of the UK of showing a new path and a new way of doing business. Instead of continuing with business as usual, we could transition towards a much greener and fairer society. And Shropshire led the way in the Industrial Revolution. I think it can do so again.
As somebody recently said, when's the best time to be taking action? Well, the best time was yesterday. The next best time is today, because tomorrow is too late.